Yo, yo, my people. Listen. I'm starting off laughing with this here episode of We Can Be Heroes here because it's been quite a bit. It's been quite a bit. It's your boy John Serrato. All right. One of the co-hosts here of our beautiful show. And I just wanted to say that I've missed all of you so much. So much. And I'm happy to be back, baby. Let's go. We Can Be Heroes. Matthew, my co-host. How we doing, my brother?
No, I'm doing good, bro. It's been a hot minute since we've been on here talking about Marvel, DC, and all that type of shit.
Too
Look,
long, brother.
at the end of the day, I'm super excited to get back into it. With you, brother. Obviously, I started this whole little podcast journey with OTS with you, and I think it's only fitting that we get back into the swing of things together. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm
Hey,
excited. I'm
hey, that makes me
excited.
excited, brother. Listen. This is for all you don't know. Matthew has been all over the On the Sidelines platform on different podcasts for sports media or TV show related on the multiple podcasts we have out there. And Derek's kind of taking him under the wing and running with it. And listen, there's no person I'd rather have doing all this with my boy Derek than my little bro Matthew. But your boy John Toronto's back, baby. I'm ready to talk some shit and start some shit. You feel me? Listen, Matthew, I think we get right into it, brother. We just, there's a movie we watched a few days ago. Weren't too happy about it, to be completely honest, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We went in there with some high expectations. And I know in other podcasts or episodes that we talked about here, We Can Be Heroes. Uh, we talked about leveling the amount of expectation, right? We go all the way back to WandaVision and looking into is it Mephisto that's causing all this, right? The Mephisto dilemma. Great for talk, right? Weekly episodes, something to talk about, get the crowd excited. I'm sure Disney ran with it and loved it, right? But at the same time, I think it gave too high of expectations for that and the rest of the MCU, right? So I think you and I, at least, we made sure we started to come in with a more level-headed expectation. But even with that, I have some gripes. I have some gripes, right? So we have, of course, we come into the movie with knowing Kang the Conqueror is finally showing his real self. We go back to Loki in our discussion back then. That was the first variant of Kang we saw. He who remains, the guy who set the sacred timeline, right? And we knew, for those who don't know or do know, within the comics, Kang the Conqueror is that guy, right? Like he has multiple variants of different strengths and powers and intellect that are all part of this Council of Kangs. But the Kang the Conqueror, the guy, was the one we expected to see in this movie. And we got him, right? So let's say that's one of the positive parts of that movie itself. But I think we'll start off with you, Matthew. I mean, what did you like about the movie? What did you not like, and give it a quick ranking.
Yeah, not much I really liked. I was gonna be, I'm, I'm gonna be real with you. Um, I think just about everything I've disliked about Marvel is in this movie. Um, the only aspect that I can say I respected was Jonathan Majors because with that script, if that's even what you want to call it, he was definitely the most committed actor there and tried to do what he can to work with that material. Um, just this in short, this is honestly, I was venture to say one of the worst MCU movies. I think it's bottom five without question in my eyes. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit in some respects, but I'll probably rate this like one and a half out of five. To
One and a
be totally
half.
honest,
And
it's
Matthew is a brutal grader. I've tried to tell him this over the years to kind of calm down with the amount of negativity and hate, right? But and Matthew, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, we didn't really have a discussion about a few of the movies that came out the past year. Been kind of MIA a little bit, but we're back here. But Love and Thunder is in that same realm, right? So Thor: Love and Thunder to me, and Matthew would agree, is horrible. I mean, for lack of true context, and we're gonna get into a little bit later the state of the MCU and a couple of those films to give you guys a brief overview of them. I came into this movie, Matthew, with a lot of excitement, right? I'm a very big fan of the multiverse saga, for both DC and Marvel, actually. Like DC has their own version of the multiverse saga as well.
Hmm.
But for Marvel, I knew Kang the Conqueror was a big piece of that. He brought a lot of the different universes together in one of the comic lines. And I knew the level of which Kang the Conqueror could quite literally destroy all of the Avengers and more, right? I mean, we go back to Loki. I keep using Loki as an example because it's a great show. The Infinity Stones were literally jewelry gems at the TVA, right? So, I mean, talk about a whole saga worth of drama and just terrible plot line, right? Terrible in the sense of like just what Thanos did thrown into a shelf at an office. Right? It's like just to show the level of power Kang and the TVA and the timekeepers, whatever you want to call them, that they have. They control. They sit outside of the general space that the Infinity Stones live in, right? And for me, I I agree. I think Jonathan Majors is going to be overall, not just speaking in the MC wise, a freaking superstar, right? He for such a poorly written film, he stood out beyond what I would ever expect out of that writing, right? And that speaks to him for sure. It speaks to who Kang the Conqueror could be as a whole. But they really tried to butcher this character, Matthew. I mean, it's clear as day. Like I almost think purposely some of these writers and or Peyton Reed, the director, were saying, how can we piss people off the most? Like we knew people were so mad about Gore the God Butcher, right? How could we fuck up this guy too? Like we're gonna do our fucking best. But Jonathan Major said, "Oh hell no, you don't know what I could do, right? So even if you're writing me wrong, I'm gonna make myself look right." And that's what he did. That's what he did, right? So I think with Kang, we saw a lot of different phases of him, right? We saw a guy that is a true master manipulator, right? Throughout in the beginning of the film, we see that Janet Van Dyne, when she was trapped in the quantum realm from the first film, the flashback, she was trapped with Kank, right? Or Nathaniel Richards, whatever you want to call him at that very moment. He was the exiled King the Conqueror. Hearing that right away, that he was exiled, tells me in the beginning of the movie, Matthew, would you agree was like, oh shit, like we both knew the Council of Kings did this, right? So this is the king. Like I didn't know for sure if it was the king. Like you and I were kind of thinking it was. We were a little cautious because Marvel's really fucked shit up lately. But at the same time, we're like the second they said exiled, I don't know if you thought it, but I'm like, oh fuck, this is him. Like this is the king we're gonna fight in Secret Wars, right? Like this is him. Or I'm sorry, King Dynasty. And I, they tried but failed, and then Jonathan Major still made it semi okay, right? Overall, I get into the nitty gritty. I guess the writing was terrible. I mean, I'll give a quick few instances. Um, One, we speak to Kang. Kang showed some great power throughout the film leading up to that final battle scene, right? And then suddenly Ant-Man is able to kick his ass, or a bunch of ants are, as he's
Yeah.
literally blowing everybody up that's by him, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly ants stop him from doing what he needs to do. His suit's destroyed. He doesn't really have his true power. His power resides within time. There's no time within the TVA, or I'm sorry, well, TVA technically yes too, but in the quantum realm, I get that. Technically, he's a depowered Kang. We knew this because he would have escaped if he wasn't, right? And you know, I just don't understand why they had to have him lose. For me, that's the overarching issue, right?
Hmm.
Is I would have been okay, and I told you this after we watched the film. Kang either totally destroys Scott or leaves Scott hanging in the quantum realm, right? And escapes. Then I think we're talking about a 3 out of 5. That alone, I don't know if you'd agree with that, but that alone, having Kane be a true victor, changes that rating, or at least raises your rating.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny you mention that because did you know they reshot the ending, the original
I,
ending?
I've heard,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for context, in case anyone doesn't know, the original ending had Scott and Hope being trapped in the quantum realm after Kang defeated them, and basically Scott reassuring himself and reassuring Hope that Cassie will find a way to reunite with them. So, in other words, Kang won, and there were genuine consequences for what Scott and company did throughout the duration of this movie, and so that would have made um for a more satisfying ending in a weird way. The fact
Right.
that he not only were the heroes technically defeated, but you actually have a chance to see the immediate consequences, and then in turn you could sort of theorize what that will lead to in subsequent projects. We instead get an ending of Scott during a surprise birthday party for Cassie, and him going through a comedic, you know, narration of what happened.
Right.
Like it just felt like, like, and because obviously you went through all years of college, but you ever like, I'm sure you went through this where like you're writing a paper and you're doing like really good, like you know exactly what all your topic points are. You go to every body paragraph, and then you're about to hit your word limit, and you just like end it, like just end the paper, like with a quick, like you just end it. That's what it felt like. It felt like there's like no actual like conclusion. It just ended abruptly. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't anything to really like connect everything together in a meaningful way. It was like, that's like the best analogy I can come up with. But I so yeah, I absolutely I would agree. I think if the ending changed, I think my rating probably would have been, you know, marginally higher. You
Yeah.
know, in
Yeah,
this,
I mean, it gets a general improvement. You know what I mean? I mean, other options, right? I mean, like, so one thing I will say is the idea of Kang being exiled in the quantum realm is intended, right? The Council of Kings saw him as an issue. He's going around and destroying multiverses beyond belief. And remember, we're talking about infinite number of Kangs that are technically out there, right? Good ones, bad ones, indifferent, all the same. So he was going around destroying everybody. He destroyed Avengers. I mean, his narration, Major's emotion, giving that I've killed Avengers, I've killed at the end. You know what I mean? Like that. That I'm like, fuck yeah, he's gonna win. Like that. I want him to win because that leads right into the Kang Dynasty and Secret War saga, right? And again, with time being irrelevant in a sense, they technically can have Kang escape right away to do that for those films. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
him leaving the quantum realm, he could end up right where Secret Wars end starts, technically. Um, what I will say is, with him being in exile, though, I think what they were doing, and I will agree. I think you're going to agree, it's not the right thing to do. But Scott and Hope do have an advantage in the quantum realm, right? They have the most experience with it. Technically, Scott more so than Hope. Hank obviously does, along with Van Dyne, and um, King doesn't. So that's probably what the angle they're going with is like can't be as strong as Ant-Man because this is Ant-Man's house, right? Like in a way, that's just kind of how they see it. But then at the same time, the writing sucks because they're showing Kang is a conqueror in the quantum realm. So what make up your mind here, right? Like
Yeah.
who's the strong one here? It's supposed to be Kang. Kang needs to win this. And another way they could have really changed this all, and I thought they were doing it, Matthew, is when you talk about that narration scene at the end when he's talking about how everything that happened in the movie, when he got scared for a second and there was like that dreary moment of him like King's like in my eyes I'm thinking King's behind him or something, you know what I mean? If King had popped up at any point or Scott had noticed he was in another universe because of King, immediate change the score for me as well. Like Scott thought he won, but King totally warped his fucking life. Everybody he thought was alive isn't there anymore. The Avengers don't even exist. Right? Like just something that fucks with Scott completely.
Yeah.
Like
There's so
that
many moments like
because
that in this movie where
I
like
think
where they wanted to teeter towards that like that
yes,
darker
that
edge, and
darker
they just
edge.
reverted right back to the typical
And
Marvel.
this is the thing. They didn't have to, right?
I
That
know.
moment when like literally, bro, I'm thinking like the movie, we have more to talk about with the writing and the issues of certain people or whatever, but the movie just letting that moment with Scott turned into more so like the dark ending we kind of wanted because again, that's like that's Marvel's perfect chance right there, right? We're not going to be the typical Marvel. You think we are. Scott narrating, everything's funny. Kane comes in and says, "I just fucked your whole life up." That's right there is the three. That's a 3 out of 5. Easy, right? That shows Kane is that guy. I still think he is that guy. We'll talk about theories and stuff like that in a little bit, but I think this is still the King, right? He's not dead. We know he was
Yeah.
taken into the core of his chair. He was not just killed, right? And that's why Scott was nervous. That dreary moment was intended. Like he knows that King the Conqueror or a version of King is coming besides him, right? Or subconsciously knows. So I want to get a little more into the writing and a couple issues that we had, more than a couple issues that we had. We'll kind of go person by person. Um, how about this? I'll name the person. You give them a score on how they acted, and then you give the writing score for that person as well, out of 5. How's that sound?
Yeah, like actually like act like how the
How they
actual
performed,
actress.
the writing, how bad it was, which is more we're going to lean towards, right, out of
Yeah.
5, and yeah, just give you rankings for
Perform
that. So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
performance wise, right? So we'll go right into Hank Pym.
Yeah, he did he did not want to be there.
No, Michael
You can
Douglas did
tell
not
like
want to
he
be
was
there.
definitely casting a paycheck. Like there
I
well,
honestly thought he filmed on his own at home, and they just threw his body in there.
yeah, definitely felt like that. It just
It,
it felt like
it,
he was
it
just like there to
not even
collect a
there.
paycheck. Yeah, it
It
wasn't
literally
committed.
felt like
No,
he wasn't there.
yeah. Writing wise, he was a character. He went through no meaningful development. The
Yep.
problem, especially with Hank, and that's going to tie into another character, there's nothing more interesting you can do with him.
Right.
Like he's already reunited with his wife. Like
The only thing you can do
that's the
is
extent.
prequels.
Yeah,
If you want to do
you
a younger version
yeah,
prequel, that's it.
or to kill him off and then to say, listen, this is the end for you.
Right.
There's no more like story to tell
Right.
to where his character could change from this to this. I mean, he's done all that in 2 movies already, or really the first movie. You know, so
Yep.
writing wise, like he was as mediocre as most of the supporting cast, to be honest with you.
Right.
Um, but I don't know if that's saying much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
So
mean, I'm with you. I'm just gonna kind of agree with you on that. He just seemed non-existent to me, right? Let's get into Miss Cassie Lang.
yeah, so
I'll
I
start with
mean,
that one if
eh,
you don't mind.
oh, go ahead, go
Let
ahead.
me start with that one. It's that I think Catherine Newton has the potential to be a superstar in the MCU. Okay. We know her previous filmography and other shows she's been in. She's done some phenomenal acting out there, right? I think she has the potential to be that. Let's make this clear. Her potential is going to be written by writing, right? Because her writing was absolutely horrible. The only thing, let me just start off with the writing horrible. I'm going to give you the one good thing I loved. They could have taken the typical MCU dumb route, right? With Cassie, when she was in jail, I'm like, fuck, she's gonna be some rebellious shithead kid that blames Scott for getting snapped away like it's his fault, right? Because at that point, she thought he was fast away, snapped away, rather than being stuck in the quantum realm. And I would have been really pissed about that. I'm like, do we really need the typical? I'm mad my dad got snapped away. I'm gonna be a bad little kid. Like, bro, come on, let's show some maturity. Scott didn't choose to go away, right? He didn't go get the milk and not come back home. That's not how. That's not what happened here. Okay, Scott was snapped away. I absolutely loved how they made her a little different. They made her a motivated child at the time to a mature teenager that wanted to do good like her dad. Because remember, Scott's original arrest and reason he was in prison was because he was taking money from bad people, greedy people, right? She was doing something similar in protecting protesters. And I loved that they didn't make her that salty teenage kid because of dad, right? Everything she was doing was for good. On top of becoming a quantum scientist in 5 years, right? She as a kid, as a teenager, she went in and studied quantum physics to learn what they knew. And then when Hank came back, it seems like they had some kind of partnership to learn more, right? And I love that. So I'll give you like what sucks is it wasn't on screen. We were just told it, right? We didn't see it, so it sucks to not see that development. But the fact that they let that be her development, I love that. I absolutely love that. I didn't want the typical teenage brat, right? And she wasn't that. So I will give them 1,000,000% credit on that. I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I originally thought they were going that direction too, and I thought it was going to be insufferable.
Like
So
vomit
I
worthy.
at least appreciate them for trying to make her a good person. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna just be totally real. Catherine Newton, talented actress. If you haven't seen Society on Netflix, she gives a damn good performance there. Yeah, she was awful in this movie. I'm gonna be blunt. She was awful. But then again, what can you do with that writing?
Horrible.
Nothing. No actor except for Andrew Garfield, favorite actor by the way, can make writing that bad be good. Not many actors have that ability,
Majors.
you know, and majors too,
Yeah.
of course. But um, it's just from her endlessly saying "dad," from her facial expressions being mute the entire time. When you have a director like Peyton Reed, who is so boring, who is so generic, and who really does nothing interesting in the filmmaking role. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, his films are not good. He's made probably one good movie, setting aside the Ant-Man franchise, depending on where you rank that in terms of
Right.
in your tiers. Is Bring It On with Kristen Dunst in 2001. That's the only good movie he's made throughout his entire career. He's not a good director, and he's
Right.
not a good screenwriter either.
I think the
So,
screenwriting.
which, in fairness, he didn't write this movie, and if he did, he co-wrote it. It was actually a writer from Rick and Morty who did it. But in any event, too,
Sure
is
wasn't the
like,
writer from Spy Kids.
oh, Jesus, well, we're gonna get into that momentarily, but no, it's just, I mean, I don't know what more we can say. I think like when it comes to Cassie's development, she really had none. I just want to help people. Let me go help people, Dad. Okay, go help people. She gets her suit off camera. She learns how to use her suit off camera outside of her big ability, and it's just like it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate more than anything else, and it's like you sort of wish that a lot of like that stuff that happens, you know, um, like off camera was actually shown, you
Right.
know, to
Yeah.
where there's like a natural progression to her earning her suit.
Right.
Oh, also the one thing too is that her intellect. She's one of the most stardust characters in Marvel. Period.
Right.
You know, where is that shown? Off camera. I mean, there are obviously a few scenes. Obviously, she developed the quantum realm
right. Right.
portal, but where did that happen? Off camera. So that's the thing.
I
They
would
have
have been
all these
okay, like
bits too. You
as a
know?
suggestion, to have the original Cassie actress, um, I can't remember her name, have her show like a 3 to 4 minute time jump of her learning the quantum realm, and then get into showing Catherine Newton as the older version, right?
Yeah.
Just because I think she was great for the Ant-Man franchise. She's younger when she was younger, the other actress. But again, I think showing some of this stuff on screen is cool. I don't know why they don't think we want to see it. Like I would love to see that. That would improve the film immensely. I feel like that's a 3 to 4 minute clip, right?
Yeah.
That shows how she became who she was and what she did to continue quantum investigate or research. I said investigations.
No, you're
And
good.
but I agree. I mean, the writing was horrible for her and for many of them. For Paul Rudd, I think Paul Rudd can supersede anything, right? His typical funniness is, there wasn't really much for either him or Hope, though. I mean, I feel like it
They're
was
just
like
there.
not really an Ant-Man in the Wasp film. It was just like a Kang Cassie horrible writing film. I mean, it was
Yeah,
odd.
this
It
movie's
was
called
odd.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and we saw Ant-Man, but we saw the Wasp maybe for like 15 minutes. It felt like
Yeah, that wasn't
it
fair to
was
her.
weird.
And
It was weird.
Evangeline Lilly, she did make comments that she would like to have her own solo endeavor, right?
Yeah, so
Um,
would I, but Can't.
Well,
All our dreams
it's
can't come true.
yeah.
No,
I mean,
no
so I
disrespect,
like
but
her though, right? I think she's a good actress. I think they wrote her wrong in some parts. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second one, the second movie in the trilogy was decent. Um, I didn't like how they did her in Endgame. That was just weird. The whole scene, whatever. Um, I love the her, you know, her finally accepting the cap thing. That was cool in Endgame. But
oh yeah, yeah, I remember
I
that
love
one.
more. I think Hope is a great potential for a character. Let me put it that way. I think the way that they're looking to expand the Avengers teams and make these different teams within the Illuminati and all these other teams show some true character development. Don't just throw it in the faces of people, right? I don't care who is the star or who is the next Avenger leader. I need to see that developed. The one thing that the early phases of the MCU did was show some great character development, right? Some true character development. We lean now, or they lean now more towards quirky, quippy jokes. Like, as long as we have that, we're good. No, no, show me it. Cassie Lang, like you said, is one of the brightest minds in comic book history. Like, truly, she is. Show that. Show that. I don't need her going up and say, "Don't be a dick to Darren Cross."
Oh
Why the
jeez.
fuck is Darren Cross MODOK in the first place? Right? I mean, that's just ridiculous. I want to see these actresses, actors, whoever is the lead, develop. Show us that. We don't need like, and not to mention, you're not showing that. You're giving more jokes. You're still not showing enough action. Fuck, if you're not going to give us development, just have people kill each other all day then. Give us something. Like have Kang just open the scene of Kang or open Kang's entrance, right? Of him, I don't know, like when Janet touched the chair and she went back in the past or saw his multiversal destruction, right? Show him snapping Logan's head off. Wolverine, right? Like give us some if you're not going to give us development, give me destruction. Like
Yeah.
it sounds crazy, but like I want to see the X-Men destroyed. Like even if it's in the background and we see costumes only, right? There's that picture that's been kind of spread around all over like social media of Kang sitting in his chair with like Cap's shield with blood on it. I think the Hulk's arm is on the chair, Deadpool's sword, just everything, right? Every item he's collected by destroying Avengers and just destroying X-Men. Like if they just showed that, I'd be like, oh fuck, like this dude for real. Like he just destroyed every character we know, right? So it's just for me, it's just poor writing. Not much to say about it, right? I think we'll get more towards the end. We kind of knew what the arc was going to be, or what we expected. Uh, right into that post credit scene, we finally do get the Council of Kings, right? We get all the different king variants. Three of the main variants that we saw, uh, at least the ones that seem to be leading the council. Uh, Ramatut, I think is the name. He is the Egyptian version of King the Conqueror. He goes back in time, and Matthew, I was a little wrong here when I told you at the movie theater. He is the main villain of the Fantastic Four. So the Fantastic Four, they time travel to stop that King variant because he ends up becoming super strong. Obviously, in the MCU, it seems he's a council. Um, I assumed because Moon Knight is within the Egyptian realm that he's going to be, and they may change it, right? So Fantastic Four may never touch Ramata. It may be Moon Knight that handles it. So we'll see how that goes. Um, I who the other one? Immortus. I was a little wrong about that too. I thought He Who Remains was Immortus. Immortus is, for those who don't know, the King variant with the supreme intellect, right? He's the one that saw past conquering, right? He how can he be of help to the multiverse more so than just destroying the multiverse? And then the last one, I think I can't remember the name of that one. It wasn't. it's not Iron Lad, but it's an equivalent. Uh, I don't know, like an evil version of Iron Lad, basically. Iron Lad is the younger version of Kang that becomes like a Iron Man, basically. Um, so yeah, those three are going to be running the multiverse, and we see all these different Kangs popping in, ready to discuss the exiled one and the future of that. And of course, we get into the Loki season 2, where they go to Victor Timely, who is also another variant as well. That starts. I think his purpose is to take over the early 1930s. Of America, I believe, or something, or Europe, or something like that. I'm not too sure on Victor Timely, but he's another variant as well. So Matthew, I want to ask, we kind of gave our overall of the film. I'll give you mine. I give it about a 2, right? A 2 out of 5, a 2.5 on a good day. I was very, very disappointed. Wish there could have been more. I think there's a potential for Kang, of course. Majors was amazing. But I guess I want to ask, what's your excitement for the Kang saga?
Yeah, I think moving forward, and I think this sort of leads into my prediction where I said from the very beginning that um every Marvel movie, TV show moving forward is going to have a Kang variant as the villain, just to really finally have that interconnected piece because I can't see the argument that we're in the multiverse saga when we have so many different stories. And I know obviously the point is that you're building up to something larger being an Avengers movie. Then you obviously
Right.
see how characters end up interacting with each other. But like something like She-Hulk or something like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like that's not connected to the multiverse. Those are just like independent stories that act as um you, that act as a platform for a character to to flourish obviously, and then at some point we'll see them interact with other characters. So that makes any sense. Maybe I just literally said how they connect to the multiverse saga, but I mean,
Right.
it means in terms of like like stories being multiverse related, we don't see that. I am
Right.
excited, however, to see something like Loki, which is reportedly dealing with three variants of Kang. So Victor Timely being one of them, the other two, we have no idea.
Unknown.
We have
Right.
to wait and see. Come, probably, I imagine like June or July.
How cool is it that
Um,
Jonathan Majors was willing to do a TV show?
oh, that's dope.
Honestly,
It's
it's
really
so
cool,
cool of
and
him.
I think they can like lean into some of the more I guess like unpopular versions of King,
Right.
or the lesser known versions of King.
Right.
I think it's also an exciting opportunity for as an actor, right? Is that you're not playing the same typical bad guy. I mean you very literally have a infinite number of ways to portray these characters, and obviously they have their own separate backstories, and I think that's you know maybe overwhelming because
Right.
from for the foreseeable future he may literally be in just about every project even if it's in a post-credit scene.
Right.
But I think he's the man for the task, and I think he's going to deliver some great work. And um obviously how it'll all come together remains to be seen, but I think knowing that we have a talented actor like Majors does make me excited. It's just a matter of execution and whether or not Marvel will sort of um I don't know, this go back to being the franchise that we love them for.
Yeah, I mean the concern, I'm with you. I think Majors has a great opportunity here to really show his range as an actor as a whole, right? He's going to be playing all these different emotional types and intellectual types and conquering types, right? He's got the range is limitless for him. And I'm very excited to see how he can do that, but it also very depends on writing, right? I think Loki was well written. I think he's going to kill it there. Can we just make all the writers from Loki write the rest of the MCU? We don't know, right? But I I I have a slight. I'm the true optimist when it comes to the MCU, and maybe at some point I just gotta stop, right? I think when everything you just said happens, we may look back at Quantumania and say, maybe not as bad as I thought. Maybe. I'm not gonna say guaranteed. Probably not, but maybe. So Matthew, I want to get into the state of the MCU, right? You
Should be Love
mentioned,
and Thunder, I think, too. Maybe we look back and say Love and Thunder.
I would rather
Masterpiece.
actually throw up in my ear hole. Um, you talk about the MCU and the interconnected storyline, right? I think I'll agree with you, and I really think it was intent with this. Phase 4 had no connection, right? It was just a bunch of stuff that they threw out there, similar to comic book storylines, and said, all right, let's go with it, right? And I was okay with that because I understood that as a comic book reader, someone who has read some comics, that's how it is. You didn't have to read She-Hulk to know She-Hulk's impact in an Avengers comic line, right? You didn't. You really didn't. But that's how they operated. I I think in the end it's gonna connect somehow, whether it's Shang-Chi or the other pieces, the Illuminati that seems to be being formed by Wong and Bruce. Uh, I truly think we're going to start to get those connected pieces with some of these films coming up, right? I don't know much about the Marvels and how that's going to connect with the whole multiverse saga. I'm not too sure on Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a rumor out there that he's actually a variant of Kang as well, the main villain. It's not a comic accurate thing, but apparently that's a rumor. I'm not sure. Um,
Wouldn't
but
surprise me actually. He does look like they're part of like the same technology. Part of the same. That's
technology,
probably the
yeah,
worst word or sentence I said. What I mean to say is that when I first saw that Immortus, it was his name, right?
yes,
The guy with like the whole metal suit. I
yes.
instinctively thought, oh, I guess him and the High Immortal are part of. I don't even think they're part of a species. Maybe they're just part of this cult that um I don't know, I guess favors
Some kind of variant of it, right?
technology as opposed to human flesh. I know it's
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
mean, so
dark, but I don't
maybe
know.
right,
That could be
like,
interesting, but
and it could just be Kang looking like him, but it's actually Kang, right? It's just we
yeah,
don't know.
just
We'll find out.
coincidental, yeah. It's true.
Remember, there's infinite numbers of Kangs. There could be a Kang that literally just wants to mess with technology and people. Like he's
Yeah.
just that kind of cycle, right? We don't know. Um, so as far as the state of the MCU, I don't really care right now, and I think it's going to all work out in the end. I hope about the interconnection of it. I'm really concerned about the quality of writing as relative to the films and shows, right? So we'll go down the list, and I'll give my gripes and quick rating of each film. Multiverse of Madness. I think this is gonna be a hot take because I loved it. You remember how much I loved it walking out of there, right?
Yeah.
I rewatched it. Okay, I will say I think I gave it what, a 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5
Yeah,
when
something like
I
that.
walked out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a 2.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
It's a 2.
Really?
It's a 2, and I say it's a 4 out of 5 first time watching it. Listen to me. It is a film, maybe close to a 3 because I love Wanda. I truly do. Um, it depends on those wow moments, right? Would you agree? Reed Richards popping out or the Illuminati being shown depends on the wow moments. Patrick Stewart, right? They're not really wow when you watch it a second time, bro. Like it's gonna happen. It's not as wow, right? Endgame had moments that were wow, like blew your mind, right? I can rewatch that 1,000 times over. Infinity War had moments that I was like, what the hell? You watch that 1,000 times over, still get excited. I still scream when Cap says Avengers Assemble, right? I didn't get any of that from rewatching Multiverse Madness.
That's crazy.
It
So
totally downed my score.
you wanna know what's crazy?
But
Um my score went up. So I think I gave it a 3.5. I went up to a 4. I'm sorry. I really like the movie, bro.
so
I won't venture
that's
so
what
much
I'm being too harsh. Maybe
as to love, but bro, it's so corny. Bro, the transitions especially.
wait,
You
you're
remember
a
the
four,
one?
truly or no?
Oh, I'm truly a four, dude. It is the right level of cheesiness. It's it's fast paced. It's genuinely fun. I still have like my criticism. Some of the visual effects are
Of
not
course.
up to par, and I say that again. It's something I'm going to be critical of moving forward because Marvel has to give time for the VFX artists to get their jobs done. They need to pay them more
They're
because they are literally the I'm trying to think of like the underbelly of these movies and TV shows. Like without them, these movies literally cannot get made. And so I'm gonna be hypercritical of that, less because I know for a fact the artists are talented to to do what they do, but when Marvel has millions of dollars at their disposal, or Disney has millions of dollars at their disposal, and they're not using it to give their artists the necessary resources or the time to do their jobs correctly, that pisses me off
right,
sincerely.
right.
But setting aside all that, um, yeah, no, I did really like the movie. I think like definitely embraces again some of that cheesiness of the characters. I do think that a lot of sequences are shot in a very unique way. Wanda was genuinely terrifying in a fair share of sequences as well. I absolutely love the fact that she slaughters the entire
I
Illuminati,
love that.
which was a bold
That
decision to
that's so
do.
amazing. So I'm just talking about the
Yeah.
surprise of seeing them, right? But that sequence at the Illuminati facility, the was it Richards or oh my god, uh what is the tower called?
Like the Sanctorium or something like
No,
that.
the tower that or the business that Reed Richards owns.
Oh, Baxter Industries.
Baxter Industries. Jeez, I couldn't think of it. When she said like that whole Baxter Industries moments,
Oh yeah, I remember you
just
got
all
excited
of
when
it, just her destroying everyone and everything. How Captain Marvel died, which I don't think she's actually dead, but how she died annoyed me.
yeah,
I don't think
that
she's
was pretty
dead. I
lame.
truly
Yeah,
don't.
that was pretty lame. I think the slicing Captain Captain the Britain in half,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Uh, what's it called? Black Bolt having his head literally crushed or
When that
disintegrated,
happened, I'm
amazing.
like,
Reed Richards getting turned into string cheese, amazing. Um, and then who was the other member? Oh, and then Xavier getting his neck, like his mind, literally getting destroyed from the inside out so much that he died. In reality, amazing. And that, like I said, that was a lot of bold decision making. I do think there could have been better Illuminati members as opposed to the ones we got. I think get rid of the Captain Marvel variant, get rid of the Captain Britain variant, and insert two characters we've never seen before. You know, because you think, oh wow, like they're not
I
gonna
would have
kill them
liked
off,
like a
like
Jean Grey or
yeah, like
uh
something crazy, and you
True
think,
Power
oh, they're not,
Magneto. I
yeah,
mean,
they're not gonna kill them off. They just introduce them, and then they go and do it anyways, knowing that
I mean,
attachment we have to the
dude, just have
characters.
Magneto
That would
pop
have been
out there and
amazing.
say, "Daughter." Oh
Yeah,
my god.
or
Oh my
something
god.
crazy like that, you know. But yeah, it's been a while since I like watched it,
Right.
obviously, because it was back in 2022. So
Mm-hmm.
all that being said, like it's just a very like fun movie. Like it's one that like I can sit back and enjoy. And like the whole Illuminati reveal stuff, like even when I saw it in theaters, I'll be honest, I wasn't really excited because I don't think John Krasinski is a good Mr. Fantastic. I never bought into him as a good casting choice at
I
all,
think about more to
you
it
know?
beforehand. But when I saw it, I was a little
Yeah.
distasted for it.
And the writing was also kind of, it was
Well, he
like,
didn't film with them.
oh yeah,
He
he was literally in his
he
own
didn't
like
film in the same room. He was
probably in his
literally
apartment
with the
complex with a
green
green
thing
screen.
around him.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
exactly. But
They threw
um
him in for sure,
yeah,
100%.
but back to what you were saying though, because I know obviously like your rating went down. So was it just the surprises that went okay?
Yeah,
Like
maybe I'm going a little too dramatic. I mean, three, it's a three and a half. I mean, it's I will say it is a horror film true and through. Like it is so dope how they use their who's it the actor's name or the director's name. Oh my god, I can't remember his name now. It's not Derek
Sam
Cinnamon.
Raimi.
Sam Raimi. He has so much experience in the horror world that he used a lot of his themes and filmography to do
Oh
that.
yeah,
And
A lot of
that was
close-ups,
so
cuz.
cool. That brings it so much up for me, obviously.
Yeah.
The close-ups, the mirror scenes, the
The
reflection
fourth wall
scene.
break when like Wanda like
Yeah,
stared
it was
directly.
just,
That
oh my
was so
God.
cool. You see, like
Okay,
the
I love it
ones
again.
yeah, the one scene that does get make fun of though is I'm trying to remember the scene, but like you remember the scene where like Strange passes out and
Yes.
it pulls like a 007, it like circles around him, turns black, and then goes back out again to
Yep.
Wanda or whatever. People kept making fun of it. Like Fury saying it looked like a Google presentation. People said it looked like a Google presentation. I was
Right,
like, I don't care. It's so cheesy. It's so cheesy, but I love it. I love it. Um, you know, um, so it does no wrong by me, you know.
right.
So I think if it's a four, it's probably in my top 10, which is kind of crazy to think about. So I don't know if you would venture to say
Yeah, I
it's
don't
in that
know. I
realm,
don't know.
or if you think it's kind of
Maybe
in the
I
middle
was
pack.
kind of watching off to the side while I was doing something else. Maybe I gotta watch it fully again, fully focused, and I'll give you my true rating after. Because now you're trying to convince me the other side. That's why I love this so much. So, all right, you did some convincing. I love it. I love it. I'm not gonna get too much into the others here. Thor: Love and Thunder was quite literally the worst piece of film I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yep,
If I had a
agreed.
choice to grab one film and throw it into the deepest pits of Earth, have it shit it out and throw it to the other side of the galaxy, I would do that 3 times and then shit on it myself. This is the worst film I have ever watched in the history, the absolute fucking history of filmmaking. The writing was horrible, the acting was horrible, the goofiness was stupid. It was nowhere near Thor Ragnarok goofy. It was a film that knew Thor Ragnarok was so successful, and they said, let's go 20 times harder on what we did in Ragnarok, and it became even cornier than they ever wanted it to be. They tried too hard to be Ragnarok. They could have just been Ragnarok, right? Like, that's okay. Like, why did you try to go above what you did in Ragnarok? What you did in Ragnarok was fine. A great combination and balance. So many different themes and pieces. I mean, it gave a little bit of Thor Dark World. It gave a little bit of Thor 1. It gave a lot of bit of the little bit of jokes and stuff added to it. It gave some development for Thor himself, right? It continued that arc for him. I think Thor Ragnarok and in turn Infinity War was the peak of Thor's arc. 100%. And then they went totally down with it with Endgame and Endgame ish. I think I liked them in Endgame. Um, obviously used them for a comical piece. But as far as Thor: Love and Thunder, I am absolutely disgusted and disappointed in what that thing is. I'm not calling it a film. It's not a film. It's a piece of shit. It's horrible. I hate it, and I give it a literal. I think it's like a 0.5 out of 5. The only reason why it's a 0.5 is because I love Chris Hemsworth that much. They did not do that man justice for how much he's put into the MCU. How can he not be pissed?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Gore the God Butcher was butchered. Okay,
Yeah.
we saw
I don't
the
want
God Butcher butcher one God, a God that we didn't give a shit about.
to. And the thing, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not gonna. No.
I hear
I
you.
can't.
I
I
think I
want
said
to
a lot
go
of
into.
what you
I want to
said.
get into a full rant. I can't. Just
Listen,
that movie is so mentally exhausting. Like it's one of those
it
things where like
is
me thinking about it makes me question my own existence, and I don't want to do that here. So I'm just gonna say, sincerely, Taika Waititi, you made perhaps the biggest piece of shit movie I have ever seen in my entire life, and I genuinely hope you never make a Marvel project again. I don't. I literally. I
after so
sincerely
much
mean that from
success
the
with
bottom of your
Ragnarok.
heart.
He
Literally.
fixed in the eyes of many, and you and I disagree with
Well,
most about Thor 1 and Thor 2. Like we like him a little more, I think, than most people do, right?
Door I love, but Door I don't even know why Door 2 is like hated on that much, but that's
It's
just
it's not as bad as Love and Thunder, right? And
oh yeah,
even
no.
with that though, I think Thor Ragnarok absolutely made it great. The trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have to do what they did with with Love and Thunder. I mean, so many things they could have done differently, and it's
All
just disappointing.
all I'll say is this: read Door, God of was it God of Thunder? Basically, I think that's the title of the comic line.
Right.
But just look up the Gore God Butcher saga. All you need to do,
Amazing.
and you
And
will
stop.
understand everything wrong with Love and Thunder. That's all I'm gonna
And
say.
one thing as far as the state of the MCU as a whole, villains don't have to fucking die. They don't.
Oh yeah, that's getting mad annoying.
Villains don't have to die. Villains can have long-standing arcs. It's not
Yeah,
the early 2000s anymore, Matt. We don't need the
mm.
villain of every film to die at the end.
Or they're gonna
Give an
die. Have it
arc.
be yeah. But what I will say is, um, you're probably gonna hate me for saying this because I'm technically defending Love and Thunder here, but within the context of the comics, Gore dying sort of reshifted Thor's entire perspective on gods, so to
Right.
speak.
Right.
Um, if Love and Thunder had adapted successfully, they didn't look at it. I said before, I think I said this to you before. Like it felt like Taika like took the comic, skimmed through it, and said, "Oh, that looks like a cool looking visual right there. Let's just put it there so people who like the comic say, oh, hey, you remember that god? You know that Gore slaughtered? You know,
Right.
yeah, you know, like yeah, you know, I trust me, we're doing good things with this character. You know what I mean? But like, um, in a movie, it was just the worst direction to go, and it was like it was so dumb. Like the thing that pisses me off the most, and I'm sorry by the way, because I know I'm taking up a ton of time talking about this. So if you want to cut me off, cut me off. Then we can get on to the other things. But like the the problem with like Gorda God Butcher is that like he has this immense hatred for gods. Obviously, he very literally blames them for the position that he was put into, and so for them to have this sudden redemptive arc in the end where he's begging for forgiveness goes against everything against Gore. Because even until his final moments, he still believes that what he was doing was was a show that he like. I'm trying to find a way to like communicate it. Basically, like that gods are as vulnerable as humans, and they have no right, to present themselves as this higher power if they're not going to fulfill their obligations to the very people that worship them, right? He doesn't believe in like I won't say he doesn't believe in religion, but like he's saying religious in a lot of respects, which you can obviously disagree with if you believe in like Christianity and so forth. But like really, like the overall message is that like religion to him is pointless when you're worshiping a god day after day, and you're suffering, but they choose not to respond to you. They just ignore you outright, And you see in the comics that like the very first god that he killed, right, was facing off against another god, and he said, and he, obviously proceeds to absorb his powers to necromorph and things like that, you know. So Gore, in and of himself, is a very phenomenal character, but they didn't do anything with him in the movie. It's like Taika Waititi did not understand him, And the other thing that pisses me off too is that Thor's entire objective was to stop Gore from killing other gods. So what does he do? He goes to Olympus, fights Zeus, kills Zeus, right? Until we see the post-credit scene. So he kills his own kind, was very literally goes against what he was trying to do. Even if you fundamentally disagree with what Zeus was saying, you did not kill your own kind. Literally. Like, this movie is so fucking stupid. I hate it so much. Fuck. It's so annoying. I'm sorry. Like I ranted. I had the rant because it's a piece of shit. And Taika Waititi, I love you, but I hate you. I hate you. I really hate you for making this movie. But I love you. I want to support you in any other movie you do. But damn you for making this movie. Damn you, Marvel,
No.
for greenlighting it. This,
No.
please. If you don't even hear, if you haven't heard this well enough, I'm gonna shut up now in 5 seconds. But just please read the original comic. It's phenomenal. And then, brother, you go right ahead because, I apologize. I took way too much time, but of course you go right ahead and obviously you want to speed us along
You
or
take as much time as you
add
want.
insights,
Listen,
but
I for some of these films and some of these shows that we've had, because we have Moon Knight, which I think was great. I don't know if you're a fan of it or not. I loved it. I gave it close to a 5, to be honest. It was great in my opinion. Miss Marvel was fun. I'll give it a 3. right? It was a fun series for me. She-Hulk was really bad leading up to the final episode, and I actually love the final episode, Matthew. Like the fourth wall breaking, like so comparatively to the comics, that's exactly who She-Hulk is. She is effectively like a Deadpool, right? And I loved it. The ending was just great. It was a total play on to the MCU as a whole. The X-Men jab with the thumbs up and like just that I think the finale was awesome. I thought the finale was actually leaning towards that dumb finale with everybody jumping in to help save the day. Would have pissed me off totally. But I think the ending was pretty good for that.
Um, yeah, I didn't finish the Hulk.
You
So
probably should.
what you
The-
told me was actually I I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, I think you should watch just
To be
just
honest
you
with
could
you,
probably
I
skip
stopped.
everything else. Like truly, the plot means nothing. Like it's the one TV the show where you
Yeah.
could literally go straight to episode. I think what was it 8? There's 8 episodes. Um, you can go to the last episode and know exactly what it's about. Like the whole plot's thrown away. There is no plot. That's the point of the show. There is literally no plot. They got rid of all of
Oh Jesus.
it.
Yeah, I
So it was we do see Bruce's son though, so that's cool. Scar,
Oh yeah. So I
young
didn't
Avenger,
know
yeah,
about the whole like fourth wall, like the whole like anything you were talking about.
the
Like the whole
Kevin.
X-Men mention. I actually had no idea about that. I did see like a picture of Scar. Um and he looked really bad. There's a person I know who's like a hardcore Hulk fan,
Yeah,
and I'll put it this way, like this is his opinion. Like it's unfair for me to say it's mine because I'm not familiar with his character from the comics, but um since he's like really invested in the character, like he Hulk is someone who's gone through a lot of childhood trauma, like was abused by his father,
right,
and so introducing a character like Scar, who is a son of Hulk, makes no sense because to this point in the MCU, we haven't even been given insight into Bruce's childhood, because in a lot of ways, like Scar, like Bruce having a son like Scar gives him to be the opportunity to be the father that he never had, so to
right.
speak. And so I just don't understand like how they can just like self-insert that kind of character without having just the fundamental aspect of Bruce, which was literally his childhood traumas, right? And a lot of it, like Hulk is the catalyst of that in a lot of ways, right? He has a lot of pent up aggression. That's sort of why he sort of had to control himself a lot of ways. But they haven't even applied it in the MCU thus far at
Right,
all.
right.
So that thing that I can understand why it bothers some, and I think it kind of bothers me knowing that now because I wasn't really aware of his backstory all like that.
Right.
So I don't know. Hopefully they like actually like faithfully adapt some aspect of Hulk's character because he's phenomenal. He's a really great character, and he
Yeah,
deserves like a proper um I would say TV show. There's a nice proper TV show or special presentation. Just
yeah. I
giving
would
us all
love
we
a
need to
World
know.
War Hulk where he just fucking murders everyone. That'd be
Oh yeah,
amazing.
go back. Give us the
um,
original Hulk, please. It'd be great.
yeah, yes, I would love him back. I mean, even if he has some semblance of personality and
Yeah,
conscience, that's fine. I just want the old Hulk back for
yeah,
sure. I thought he came out at the beginning of She-Hulk. To be honest, it sounded like he did for a little bit. So
oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, so I we'll go quickly into Wakanda Forever. I'm not gonna give it too much of a negative review here. I think Namor was a decent character. Shuri had some decent developments, but it seemed like a lot of off-screen development as well. Um, I, I'm not gonna say I hated it because I love the Chadwick tribute. Right, they did him justice. Queen Ramonda was one of the best performances I've ever seen in the MCU, hands down. I loved her
Oh
in
yeah,
that film. She was amazing, and I wish she didn't die. Honestly, I wish she continued to be the queen.
yeah,
M'Baku was typical M'Baku. Seems like he's about to be the king of Wakanda now. I'll give the
yeah,
film a good, just for Chadwick. Honestly, the tribute in itself, 4 out of 5. The ending,
yeah,
the post credits with T'Challa Jr. essentially, right? Was amazing. I will say one theory I have with that. I think T'Challa's son, T'Challa, they're gonna age him quickly through
Excuse
the
me.
King, through the multiverse, or through time travel, and we're gonna see an adult version of T'Challa sooner than many think. 100%. I think
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the adult version of the T'Challa Junior will be in the films going forward. That will be our Black Panther. Shuri does not want to be Black Panther. She doesn't.
yeah. I can see that being the case.
So
I
I,
can see
I
that being
think
the case.
through some semblance of way we see T'Challa again, quote unquote, with Storm. The child T'Challa
Yeah.
is
So,
going to be with Storm like he's supposed to be.
something tells me they are.
And something honestly, bro, I think that was always the plan to have child T'Challa be the T'Challa of the comics, where he's married to Storm, and that's why they had is it Nicoy? Nicoy is his wife or his
Mm-hmm.
wife, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Chadwick knew he had cancer. I think during even the first Black Panther film. So I'm not gonna just give presumptions or whatever. Something tells me he wanted a plan out there, right? He knew how iconic this character is for the community. That's how they went about it. I think that's why they did the way they did. And I think T'Challa's son's gonna take over that storyline. So
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I think. Just to give my quick thoughts. Uh, by far the best Phase 4 project. Riddled with emotion. And while it, uh, I said before that if this movie was bad, quote unquote, um, I wouldn't have blamed Ryan Coogler, and I said that the biggest challenge that he was facing is how do I make a Black Panther movie without Chadwick Boseman? And he and his fellow writers, creatives, made an incredible movie that was not only a tribute to Chadwick, but was also just a very good movie in and of itself. Beautifully shot in a lot of aspects. Well, very well acted. I think you definitely saw um sort of all these actors and actresses getting a chance to um I guess like express the emotions they felt with the loss of Chadwick on screen, and you felt it too,
right.
and I think this movie just I do need to rewatch it just because it's a really good movie, and
Right.
yeah, that's easily like I even said before, like especially with sort of what we gotten out of Marvel, I figured Wakanda Forever, with it being sort of like the tip off to Phase 4, was definitely going to be like the movie. You know what I mean? Outside of sort of the real life circumstances that surrounded it, I just knew that it was just going to be a great movie, knowing all the passion that went into it. So,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I feel the same way.
Dude, I'm with you, man. One thing I will say, continue at least the state of Marvel and the MCU. There was an announcement out there that Kevin Feige and the crew, whoever helps him run the MCU, they're all in agreement that there needs to be a little bit of a slowing down, right?
Yeah.
There's too much of a pump out of content. Looking back, I'm like, wow, Disney Plus is new. They're bringing in all these shows. I'm so excited. What we talk about? We had a show to watch, including Star Wars, every single week in 2021.
Yeah, it
Every
was
single week. I
yeah.
think there was one week we didn't.
Mhm.
So, but out of 51 weeks, we had something to watch,
Yeah, something like a crazy. It was a crazy number.
or
Yeah.
doubled up, if anything, right?
Oh yeah.
So, I think that's the best thing. My ideal world is February Marvel movie, May June Marvel movie, November December Marvel movie, right? And in between that, a show, a show, a show. That's more than enough. You don't need to do
Yeah.
4 and 4,
I
right?
it
Or even I'm good with even 2 and 3, or 3 and 2,
yeah.
or however you want to look at it.
It yeah. It's funny too because we talked about this a bit on Realist, and I was like, I was had a great conversation. I'm glad we're bringing it up here too. Um, I think so. As of now, the only planned Disney Plus shows, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are going to be Loki and Secret Invasion, as well as X-Men, the new X-Men animated series. Um, Even that I'm kind of reluctant to say because I can see that getting pushed back. I did want to say What If, but I'm not really sure what's going on with that. We haven't really heard anything.
That is coming out this year.
Is it? Yeah. So presumably 3 shows, which fits exactly into what your prediction says, right?
Yep.
Do 3 movies, 3 shows, etc. It's for the best, more time post production, but at the
Yep.
same time, with
X-Men
like,
97 will technically be fourth, but that's not necessarily
yeah,
in the MCU.
yeah,
So
yeah, 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 exactly. So it's one of those things too, because like they're doing this for now, but how long is that sustainable? Because it's gonna reach a point where they can keep pushing it, but they're gonna end up backloading all their TV shows and movies and have to revert back into their old ways again. It's
right.
just it's just because of how many characters they want to get done. Like Echo got pushed to 2024. That's coming
Right.
out. Ironheart 2024.
And we still have, I
Delayed
mean,
from potentially this year.
Vision Quest, Armor
Vision Quest is
Wars,
apparently coming out. Like,
the Wakanda series, another
yeah,
Shang-Chi, Wonder
at
Man.
like at some point. Oh, I completely forgot about those shows too. Like at some point, that they're very literally going to have to to do one or two things: full-fledged series or special presentations.
Right.
Give us which I think is the direction they should go. 45 minutes. Here's Wonder, even a Wonder Man. I think because Bob Odenkirk is apparently in it, and Yaya,
Right.
phenomenal actor by the way. I think they deserve like a full series. But
Yep.
as an example, Wonder
Mm-hmm.
Man, 45 minutes. Here's his origin, how he connects to the future of the MCU. End
I
it.
agree.
Move on to the next. It's cheaper, and then obviously you set the expectation that an actor can come back in a later role or in a later project. Excuse me. There you go. I think
I'd
that's
be
the direction
okay.
they should take.
So, I mean,
Honestly.
looking at the plate of what's out here, I mean, you could do, excuse me, you could do Vision Quest as a special presentation, right? I don't
Yeah.
need eight episodes of no emotion Vision trying to get his emotion back. I mean, give me an hour. You can make the specials about an hour and 50 minutes, hour and a half,
Yeah.
and I think we'll get
The
enough
link
out of
too.
it as long as the writing's good.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
we got like as far as what's coming up, I agree. I mean, you stick with the 2 to 3 shows per year, 2 to 3 movies per year, and we'll have more than enough content to talk about here in the show. But us as fans to have, I really, like you talked about earlier. I think the VFX will be better. I think the writing will be better. I think there'll be less of the workers will be less stressed. They'll be able to focus and do what they need to
Yeah.
do. Um, I'm definitely excited for what's to come with the MCU. We have a lot to talk about here, of course. We're definitely going to be getting into as far as what's coming out this year. Secret Invasion's coming out, I think, in a month ish, right? It's a spring, so
It's
month, two
something
months
like
maybe.
that, yeah. Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Loki Season 2, The Marvels, and What If are all going to be out presumably this year. They said presumably this year for What If. So, and X-Men 97, I'm jumping into it. I'll check it out. Why not?
Yeah.
But overall, brother, it's good to have this amount of content, right? So us as fans, we love Marvel, we love DC, we love Star Wars. Star Wars has some content coming out this year still too. Plenty of gaps to fill for us, right? We don't need all this extra content pumped out in one year to try to push it out for the heck of it. Let's take our time and let's do the right thing and get the right stuff out there, right? I'm beyond excited. Secret Invasion, I think, is going to be phenomenal. I'm super excited for that espionage in the
Yeah.
realm of Captain America: Winter Soldier, right? A little bit of that, a little,
It has a lot of
um,
it has a lot of potential,
it
and they
does,
can easily squander it. So I hope
yeah,
they don't.
yeah.
If
And
it's
I
six
think we're
episodes, I'm
gonna
kind of nervous, but
I think we're gonna find out that Mr. Nick Fury hasn't been on Earth since before Age of Ultron. I think
oh my
as
god,
soon
I
as he,
remember that theory. Yeah.
it's not a theory, brother. It's real. They didn't bring that up for no reason. Captain Marvel came out after Age of Ultron, so they purposely mentioned the toast thing because he cut toast in Ultron, right? Like that was intended.
Age of Midtron, you mean?
Age of Oh no, it's one of the best Avengers. It is better than Avengers 1.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a conversation for another day, I suppose.
Oh, we are bringing it up 100%. Listen, I just want to reiterate that I am so excited to be back here for We Can Be Heroes. Matthew and I have been ready to pump out some content, talk about everything related to the MCU, the Marvel Universe, the DC Universe. We have a ton to talk about next episode. And of course, the Star Wars episode as well, or universe as well. And, we're really going to get into that too, Matthew. We got some great stuff coming out for it. I mean,
Yep.
I'm super excited for that. Again, next episode, we'll get right into the DC. James Gunn, our the man of the Guardians of the Galaxy, has taken over all of DC Studios. So we are excited to see what he has in store, but have some criticisms about what he has planned as well. So we're definitely going to get into that next episode. But again, just want to thank all of you for being patient with us. We haven't been here as much as you want, but we're back and ready to get rolling weekly. And I'm so fucking excited to get this thing going, baby. Listen. We Can Be Heroes is here to motherfucking stay. You feel me? We are here. We're ready for some Marvel shit. We're ready for some DC shit. And we're ready for some Star Wars shit. Matthew, where can they find you?
Yes, sir. So you can always find me at Instagram, Matt_T29. As always, thank you both so much. It's been a hell of a time for me and my brother over here, but we're super excited to really get back into it, to do the stuff that we love. You know, I'm excited to be doing this with you, bro. I love you, and I can't wait to keep up this grind.
Hey, the grind is what we're all about. Listen, I just want to again thank you guys so much for always tuning in to the On the Sidelines platform. We are now all under one social media platform at On the Sidelines on all social media platforms. Head over to the YouTube page, drop a like, drop a subscribe, share, go on the Facebook group, Facebook page, and share as well. You can find me at Jon_OTS. Anytime you want to debate or jump onto this podcast here, you're more than welcome. And we're excited for the next episode. We're gonna get right into DC and how excited we are for that. And hey, we got some movies to talk about for that this year too, Matthew. And I'm really excited for that too. So Peacemaker, we do have to talk about. We never talked about that. So
Oh, shoot, that's
I
right.
I am beyond excited for that. Listen, I want to thank you folks again for the millionth time that I've said it now. We Can Be Heroes. We back, we ready. Let's get it going, baby. Peace.
Peace.